here's Brody Brazil.
Well, it was not easy, and it was not conventional by any means, but the A's take Game 3 of the 2020 ALDS against Houston, a 9-7 nail-biting final score from Dodger Stadium. And when you think about these playoffs for the Oakland A's, something about them facing elimination, all three of their postseason wins have come with their backs against the wall. 2 times against the White Sox, and now down 0-2 in the series against the Astros. They force a Game 4 and make this thing just a little bit more interesting. I realize there's potentially a lot of baseball left if the A's want to advance to the ALCS, but they've definitely taken the first step under some difficult circumstances. A common trend of the 2 prior games before today is that the A's had been offensively dormant in the second half of the games. They just could not get to Houston's bullpen. For whatever reason, we talked about how that was the inverse of their entire regular season, struggling against starters, and then winning games against the opposition bullpen. But that's what the A's did today. 3-run homer in the 7th inning by Chad Pinder that tied this game at 7, and then a pair of sac flies for the A's, which ultimately gave them the 2-run lead and the win in the 8th inning. So again, does this win change the dynamics of this series? Does this plant just a seed of doubt in the heads of the Houston Astros? I don't know. They're resilient. They've obviously been through a lot on and off the playing field. But certainly for the A's, the longer you can take this series, the more interesting you make it, not only for baseball fans, but the more interesting in a bad way you make it for the Houston Astros. And in today's Game 3, Oakland had a 4-2 lead. They jumped out to that once again. Then the Astros made their move. They led 7-4, right? Kind of felt in doubt for the green and gold. But Oakland comes back to win 9-7. What a game of swings. What a roller coaster to hang on through 9 innings and watch this one. And when you homer 5 times in a game, like the A's did, are you ever supposed to lose a game where you homer 5 times? 4 of them were solo shots. And that is kind of part of the problem that the A's have had really in this entire playoffs. They're not homering with somebody on base. A lot of solo jobs, which is great, but could be better. So point number 1 I want to make here, this was the 3rd straight game where the A's scored and homered first. And you have to love the early life by this team throughout this entire series, but specifically today, I mentioned the word life. They just looked a lot different when they jumped ahead, when they came back. I'm not going to say that they were not into games 1 and 2 at all. That's entirely wrong. But just to say that today, for whatever reason, if you're looking at body language alone, in the dugout, on the field during the game, you saw a lot more antics. You saw a lot more body language from this team. So I just liked seeing it. I'm not saying they needed it to win games 1 or 2. Obviously, they lost them. But something about just the extra body language from the A's today that was really satisfying. Number 2, let's talk about the start by Jesus Luzardo. It really does fall in line from what we saw from Chris Bassitt in Game 1 and Sean Manaea in Game 2. Nobody exactly took over the game in terms of an A's starter, but all 3 of these guys did just enough in pitching performances. When they handed the ball over, they had their team in a good situation to win the game, whether they were up by a couple runs or trailing by 1 or 2. And you kind of have to grade these guys on a curve, considering the home run derby that's taking place between the A's and Astros. Yeah, they are giving up some runs. They are giving up some long balls, but I thought Luzardo was pretty good through 73 pitches today. 4 1/3, yeah, 5 hits, 4 runs all earned, but really the 2 homers were it for Luzardo. So again, it's hard to grade these guys based on the amount of runs and home runs that are being totaled. But another, good enough performance, I think, for Jesus Luzardo, just like what we saw from Manaea and just like what we saw from Chris Bassitt. Framber Valdez of the Houston Astros, really the only starter for both sides in this series who can say that he pitched exceptionally. All right, point number 3, I am a bit nervous about the health status of Tommy La Stella. He, in the top of the 8th inning, got hit by that pitch, a 90-mile-an-hour offering by Brooks Raley. And Tommy he's a left-handed swing, right? So on his right elbow, his lead elbow does wear some protection. I don't know how the baseball missed that protection. Maybe it was a little bit higher. And it was hard to really even see pinpoint exactly where the baseball hit La Stella. It looked like above the elbow. The good thing we know is that he's already had x-rays. They've already come back negative. It's a contusion, a fancy name for a big bruise. It might hurt La Stella quite a bit tomorrow. It may impact his performance in the near future. The good news is it's not a break. He's not instantly out. But Tommy La Stella, my goodness, what another series he's been having. A homer today, second batter of the game, had the solo shot, walked later, singled later, scored twice, and then even getting hit by that pitch, at least got on base. Helped the A's load the bases there as they got their 2 runs in the 8th inning. So I'm already on this campaign. I know a lot of A's fans are too. Tommy La Stella is a free agent next year. It's time to re-sign Tommy La Stella. I know the A's just acquired him in the trade from Los Angeles. What a hitter. What a teammate. Hearing from Bob Melvin the other day that La Stella has already, felt comfortable enough to let his personality come out with this group. He likes them. They like him. I know there's a lot of moves the A's need to make this offseason in terms of free agents, but man, I'm looking at Tommy La Stella instantly as one of the top priorities already. And then how about Chad Pinder's day? That's my number 4 point here. Chad Pinder, the same guy who hit the series-winning homer, the 2-run homer against the White Sox in Game 3 of the wild card round, comes up so clutch today. Double in his first at-bat. Yeah, he struck out in his second at-bat, but singled in his third at-bat. 3-run homer in the 7th, and then a sac fly which drove in one of the A's 2 runs in the 8th inning. This is the same Chad Pinder that hardcore A's fans have been wanting to see on an everyday basis for the last couple of years. Now you're getting that chance, and in the biggest of moments, Chad Pinder is coming through. This has been fun to watch. This has been exceptional to watch, and I think it also needs to be mentioned because I know it's been said, but I feel like it doesn't hurt to repeat this. What a leader Chad Pinder has been for this team across the last several seasons. We talk about Matt Chapman. We talk about Matt Olson, Marcus Semien. Those 3 guys are the front-facing leaders of the Oakland A's. And they are obviously leaders. There's no question about that. But step inside the clubhouse, and you really will see the respect that players have for a guy like Chad Pinder, specifically for Chad Pinder. Number 5 point here to make. Tomorrow's Game 4 starter will be Frankie Montas. Bob Melvin already announced that. He's a guy who, yes, started opening day for the A's, had some ups and downs this season. A back injury. He was on paternity leave for a while. He missed a start or 2 when the team had their COVID shutdown, when they were stuck in Texas. But the thing about the ups and downs, if you look at where he is and should be right now, coming off his last few outings, looking healthy, looking sharp. I mean, this is exactly where you want Frankie Montas to be entering a Game 4 starting situation. Dave Stewart and I completely, made the point. We didn't know who the Game 3 starter would be for the A's. We thought Frankie might have got that assignment. So it really comes as no surprise that here we are after the Luzardo start, that Montas is going to get his opportunity. On the flip side, Houston doesn't know who their starter is for Game 4 yet. Dusty Baker has still yet to announce that as I record this. But their playoffs are going to get a lot more interesting because they were planning on Zach Greinke. To be quite honest, as of a couple weeks ago, they were also planning on Justin Verlander. They don't have him. They don't have Zach Greinke. They've obviously used some of their better arms earlier here in this series. So the longer this goes, the more interesting it gets for the Houston Astros from a starting and a pitching perspective. And also this, if there is a Game 5 now between the A's and Astros, it would pretty much be in line for Mike Fiers to get the start for the Green and Gold. The same Mike Fiers who called out the Astros and uncovered their cheating scandal back in November of 2019. The same Mike Fiers who, during this entire regular season, 10 head-to-head games, just always missed out on the opportunity to face his former teammates. Think about that redemption. Think about that storyline if, in fact, we do get him and get a Game 5. Last point to make here, number 6, is just the launching pad that Dodger Stadium continues to be. For the A's, 3 homers in Game 1, 2 homers yesterday, 5 more dingers today. My goodness. But that's not the thing for the A's. I know it's impressive. I know that's been the story of the series in terms of highlights and the scoreboard and what everybody's watching, but if the A's could better convert with runners in scoring position, I feel like that would help them out just as much, even if they didn't hit as many homers tomorrow or looking ahead. This is a series where it just always feels like no lead is ever safe. Who's going to hit the next long ball? We've seen that so far in all 3 games realistically, but the A's with runners in scoring position. Game 1, 0 for 6. Yesterday in Game 2, they didn't even get a runner in scoring position. And today in Game 3, 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. You just do the numbers and you up those a little bit. You get more results. You get more runs, more comfortable leads for the Oakland A's. Yes, they have relied on the long ball. They're built around the long ball. But if they could just add that extra element, this series may be a little bit less frustrating in terms of playing catch-up or to see the Astros come right back and tie or take leads in games. All right, so what a series it's been. I honestly hope we have a long way to go. I said before the game that it does feel like if the A's could just get one victory, if they could break that ice, a lot of things would be up in the air. And that's where I feel like we are at right now. Can't wait to see you tomorrow for pregame coverage, 12 noon, 30 minutes before first pitch on NBC Sports California.